So I finished watching the 10th and final episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2. So episode 10 is titled Hegemony and it is a phenomenal season finale. I do think I like the season finale of Season 1 a bit better, but that's only because Season 1's finale, well, spoiler alert, is not a two-parter. This episode ends with a to-be continued cliffhanger. I think I'm finally going to understand what a lot of Star Trek fans, after watching the best of both worlds for TNG, actually felt having to wait for the conclusion in the next season. But yeah, I do think overall it was a good, strong season finale. Sets up a lot of stuff. In fact, let's just go ahead and talk spoilers. They're gone. And I think something that they're setting up very much is the Federation is missing the obvious with Gorn. They're seeing them simply as monsters, not realizing their intelligence. Now, I think Starfleet, especially Pike, and a few other characters, they are realizing there is something they're missing, but they don't know what they're missing. I think that missing link is how to communicate with the Gorn, how to figure out what the Gorn are all about. So that's something to take a note of. I think that's what they're showing us, is how, because otherwise it could ruin the payoff of Arena in Star Trek the original series. It looks like they're trying to still keep that relatively intact. That's when Starfleet and the Gorn are finally able to communicate with each other in some way, to begin the process of coming to an understanding and avoiding conflict. So perhaps this is, setting this up. Now, setting that stuff up maybe in the best way possible by showing, hostility after hostility, but also showing Starfleet is ever so slightly just missing that key piece of the puzzle. Now, they'll figure out things about the Gorn biologically, but not anything societally. And that's something interesting to take a note of. Of course, that's just the general premise of the episode. There's a lot going on in the episode. We get action, we get horror, we get suspense, we get new characters. That's right, we get the old classic from the original series, Scotty. Of course, he's only a lieutenant junior grade. And I loved how they have him say lieutenant, just like, people from the UK generally actually do. And there's probably a few who, when working with Americans, probably do say lieutenant. But come on, you watch any World War II film, whether it's a documentary or fiction, doesn't matter, anything said in World War II. Yep, the Brits are all saying lieutenant. And I just love how, cause Scotty, well, he's Scottish, so he's from the UK, so of course he'd be saying lieutenant. But it was so great. And I felt like they did a very good job of showing a younger Scotty. You can tell he's an engineering genius, but you can tell he doesn't have, I'm going to say, the confidence he does later, which makes some sense. But this is kind of a little bit, not too much of a swell, but at the end of the episode, he's beamed aboard the Enterprise, so his first time aboard the Enterprise. And the current chief engineer, Pelly, guess what? Was his former professor. And apparently he was her best student who got the worst grades. So that implies she could tell he was smart, he was intelligent, he knew what he was doing, but didn't do the homework. That's literally what it sounded like. Didn't actually do the tests. That is what it sounded like to me, which I think is just hilarious. But it does make me wonder, in season 3, are we going to get them teaming up, get some stories? Because I think there could be some good opportunity for comedy there. I do think so. But that's kind of sidetracked from the main story of the episode, which probably should give a general plot summary. Oh, one more thing about Scotty. When the Gorn invade the planet, arrive at the planet, there's a shuttle. That's Scotty's shuttle, but I did not pick that up on at first, because I didn't even know Scotty was there. It was actually only me preparing to make my review that it dawned on me that the shuttle we saw at the start of the Gorn invasion of this planet was Scotty's shuttle when he was evacuating the system where he was at, which I think is kind of interesting. But yeah, so Captain Patel, so that's basically Pike's girlfriend, and so she's on a mission, basically helping Conley, get some vaccinations. Nurse Chapel's there's helping, kind of looks like she's, going on a couple of ships until she gets to her destination with her fellowship. That's what I was looking for. Of course, a fellowship with a certain somebody that we later see in the original series episode. But yeah, Though I lost my train of thought there, so let me recenter and begin, not over again, but I'm just delaying my thought process talking. Well, I don't know what I'm doing right now, but going back to the actual episode. So she beams back aboard the ship, which is the Cayuga, and that's when the Gon attack. And thankfully, we do find out they're all survivors. The Cayuga does send out the Cayuga does send out distressing go, which the Enterprise does receive and does go to investigate and extract survivors as they can. And unfortunately, though, the Gon sent transmission to Starfleet with a demarcation line. Of course, given planetary motion, I wonder if that demarcation line that we saw was only at that present point, if they included coordinates and that should just align as things orbited. I don't know, but it would be interesting because that would be another piece of the puzzle. Or maybe they're going to figure, okay, we don't need this demarcation line in such amount of time, so we'll only do what we need right now, which could contribute to Starfleet missing the obvious in front of them about the Gon being intelligent. But still, the Gon only communicated with basically a map and a line drawn with Starfleet. Nothing else yet. So, things are going on. But there's also the Gon display interesting behavior on the planet. From the last Major Gon episode in season 1, it was basically revealed that the Gon Young fight each other. The Gon Young are not fighting each other this time, which is interesting. Now, could it be the environment, or could it be something else? Maybe the Gon found a way to suppress the Young's more violent instinct. Because definitely doesn't indicate the Gon Young are more violent, more monstrous than the Gon adults are, who are much more tactical, intelligent. It's interesting to take a note of, and I do find this interesting, and I hope we see more of how this develops and how Starfleet misses it. But yeah, Pike, Ortegas, Mbenga, and Lon, and Sam Kirk all go down the plane. So we know for sure, because of who appears in the original series, that Sam Kirk and Pike will come out of this mission, okay? But I gotta say, I love it whenever they put Sam Kirk in danger. Not only because we know he's gonna be fine, but it's because, like, okay, how are they gonna put him in danger again? It hasn't happened as often as I would like, but I love it every time they do it. But yeah, so they go down to the planet, they detect human life signs, and they stumble into a trap for the Gon set by Scotty, which is our first introduction to him. And I already talked about his introduction when he's saying lieutenant and all that, but he is so good. He, I think, like I said earlier, embodies a young Scotty. I forget the name of the actor, but I think captures a younger Scotty who's not as confident, still confident in his abilities, but not necessarily as confident in his, I'm going to say, his presentation, his interactions with others. More of a, almost you can say he hasn't developed the leadership skills he needs to be a chief engineer yet. And maybe that's what we'll see in season 3, working with Peli. But that's only speculation, and I kind of touched on that already. So Captain Patel is alive along with several other colonists as well. But we discovered that Scotty had developed basically a piece of tech that to mask their human life signs and make the Gon think they're gone. So they go back to his shelter to see if they could recover that tech so they can use it to escape. Of course, we do find out there that Patel has been infected with Gon eggs, and she's willing to use Pike's shelter in that piece of tech as a jamming device in a suicide mission to destroy the tower that's jamming all the sensors. Of course, meanwhile, in the Enterprise, they have their own plan to stop the jamming, which Uhura figures out. Of course, makes sense. She's a communication officer, so exploring frequencies. She figures out the cause of it. Of course, she needs to destroy it, and, well, she's not an engineer or a tactician, so she goes to Peli for the engineering side of things. Of course, and Spock is doing stuff as well, but he's not doing as much. But it does make sense. It's a younger Spock, not as in control of his emotions, and him and Chapo did depart not on the best terms in the last episode, and we get a sense that he is feeling that he's not saying he's feeling guilty, but he's acting like he's feeling guilty, like maybe there's something he could have done better. Because, of course, there's not much I say he could have done, but that doesn't stop his feelings. He is half human, and Vulcans do have emotions as well. They just hide it very well, generally. But I know, what's what I'm looking for? I know Chopper's gonna be fine because of the original series, and she is fine. Granted, it's kind of lucky that she's the only survivor, but they were going on the ship, so the Gon probably were hunting down the survivors on board the Cayuga, but she does manage to escape, find a spacesuit, which was convenient in her location. But my theory is spacesuits like that are scattered around Starfleet ships for this exact reason. I mean, it seems like something Starfleet would do, as Chief O'Brien said in an episode of Deep Space Nine. Well, you want a backup for a backup, something to that effect. So I think it would be well within Starfleet's modus operandi to have spacesuits scattered around their starships, so in case things like this happen where suctions are gone, life support's failing, you still have a spacesuit nearby, even if you didn't get to an escape pod. I do think that's the most realistic answer. But of course, I got distracted a little bit though, but she does find Spock, because Spock is going to the Cayuga because they're placing rockets so they can use the Cayuga's destroyed saucer section to destroy the Gon sensor so they can beam everyone up. So it's quite lucky that they found each other. And I say they both save each other, mainly because Chapel helps Spock get the drop on one of the Gon aboard that have boarded the Cayuga, which I'm saying the Gon were trying to access the logs, the database of the Cayuga, because one was trying to input the command codes and was kept on failing. Intelligence gathering. The Gon are much more interesting than what Starfleet is realizing, but they're not aware of it because of how monstrous the Gon are acting, especially the younger Gon in the presence of Starfleet officers. But so you can kind of see how all this is building up to the climax of the episode and also to TOS Arena. But another thing I would like to kind of make a note of is Spock says that he's the only one who can do it. And the reason why I think he said that is because being a Vulcan, he's probably the only one who has maybe enough patience, but also at the same time enough control to successfully place the rockets in the exact position they need, without the assistance of sensors and all that because of the jamming field. That's, I think, what's going on there, which in my opinion does make sense. And like I say, the Enterprise's plan works and they're able to contact Pike and beam him, Batel, and Scotty up to the Enterprise directly to sickbay. And thankfully, because of the choppers there now, they have a very experienced and competent medical professional that we know of. We don't know about all the other medical staff on the Enterprise, unfortunately. And she sedates Patel and puts her in a confinement area so in case anything happens. Of course, Patel is willing to sacrifice herself to save Starfleet and the Enterprise from the Gon egg that had been implanted into her arm. So, we know what could happen to her, but will it? I don't know, but everyone's beamed off. Unfortunately, as we find out later, the colonists, Lon and Benga, and Sam Cooke and Ortegas were beamed aboard the Gon ship, not the Enterprise. I thought something was off when I saw the transporter beam. Didn't look quite Starfleet. Now, what's going to happen in the next episode, I don't know, but the Enterprise has orders to withdraw, and Pike is freezing. But that doesn't make sense. Pike has never really been portrayed that much as a tactician, more as a diplomat, more like Jean-Luc Picard than Cook. Of course, maybe that's what they need. Maybe they do need Cook to come up and save the day. But I will say this. There's all going on in that scene, so of course he's going to be overwhelmed. And sure, he's a Starfleet officer, but I mean, he's more the diplomat and the scientist, not the warrior and all that. But it does add some layers, showing that Starfleet is not purely a military organization. That when you put a great Starfleet captain, but who's not a military officer, yes, who can generally hold his own in skirmishes with pirates and other situations, but not a actual tactician. I mean, you can see why in many episodes he does ask for the advice of his crew when it comes to tactical situations. And his tactical officer is not there right now. The one with the most experience fighting the Gon, who's now aboard the Gon ship. Great. Lon has a lot more trauma under her belt. Man, Nan's been getting a lot of trauma. First she falls in love with an alternate cook, then that alternate cook dies, and she can't talk about it anymore because of the temporal time directive. Then she finally confesses her things to her timeline's cook, who is involved with Kira Marcus and thus is unable to pursue a relationship with her. And now she's captured by the Gorn again. How much more trauma can Lan experience? And then, of course, we have Ortega's. Again, we didn't get much out of Ortega's this episode, but this episode actually has made me wonder. Are they trying to make sure she doesn't appear like another Tom Paris? Because, I mean, both her and Tom Paris were introduced as excellent pilots. And all we've gotten to see of Ortega's is her being an excellent pilot. We don't get to see that much about her. Sure, some references to having served in the Klingon War and the trauma with that in a few episodes here and there, but not much. Is it because of how the Voyager writers basically, oh, we need a character to do anything. Let's just give it to our pilot, Tom Paris. And so Tom Paris became basically a badass, good at nearly anything that he needs to do. Are they trying to avoid that with Ortega's? It's something I'm wondering, and could that be negatively impacting her character development? I also know that I believe the writers gave Ortega's his character that's to do because of personal stuff going on in the actor's life. So I think something going on there as well, but it almost makes me wonder, they're trying not to make her appear like another Tom Paris, which in any case might be hurting the character development of Ortega's. Of course, Megas also, I mean, he's pretty competent in all regards, but he didn't get much to do in this episode, but I think that's because he's going to be doing a lot. Him and Sam Kurt are going to be doing a lot in the next episode. So, because they both want to study the Gorn, and specifically study how to kill the Gorn. Yeah, Starfleet is definitely not happy with the Gorn, and most of the officers feel the same way and are looking for ways to deal with it. Of course, one thing to note, like I said, Sam Kirk, well, we know when he dies, so we know he's going to be fine. So, but who else is going to be fine in that group? Because I think Mbenga appeared in 1 or 2 episodes of the original series, so he's probably fine as well. I'm pretty sure that was Mbenga. I know they've done a lot of development of his character. Basically, I think they took one of the background doctors in Star Trek's original series and actually made him into an actual character. But so I think those 2 are fine, but everyone else, we don't know if they're going to be fine or not. But I think that's kind of the point. Sure, we got some characters because of this being a prequel, we know nothing's going to happen to, but we also got characters that we don't know what's going to happen to it. So we get the suspense. So we get the suspense of how the characters we know are going to survive, how are they going to survive. And the characters that we don't know, we're asking ourselves, will they survive? And is it going to be on their own accords? Do they need help? Like, lots of questions are being put to us for this. And I think that's creating a good lot of suspense. But man, I honestly wish season 3 will come out sooner. But of course, with the SAG-AFTRA strike and all that, yes, let them keep striking until they get what they want. The actors and the writers get a deal fair to them. So I think I can wait for that. But yeah, a lot has been going on and a lot of interesting stuff, and I really can't wait to see season 3. But like I said, we can wait, and we should wait while the actors and writers are on strike, demanding better payment, better conditions, all that normal stuff that they deserve for all the hard work and effort. But let's actually finish up this review with my concluding thoughts on the episode. Like I said in my introduction, I thought this was a great season finale. I did personally prefer season's 1 finale, and I think that one might be a little bit stronger. But in all honesty, this being a two-parter means I won't be able to form an exact and firm conclusion until season 3 comes out, where we can see part 2. So on Paramount, CBS, yeah, agree to the writers and actors' demands so we can see Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3. Please. And thank you. Oh, also, put Star Trek Prodigy back on Paramount Plus as well. It was a very good show. I would love to see the rest of it. But yeah, that's going to conclude my review of Star Trek Strange New Worlds Hegemony. I do hope you enjoyed my review. I would love to hear your thoughts on the episode in the comment section down below. There is so much more we can discuss, and I'm sure I'm leaving a lot of stuff out. But in the meantime, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. Live long and prosper. Thank you for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to like, upvote, and share the video. Also consider subscribing and following the channel if you haven't done so yet, and to ring that bell on YouTube to get notified of when new videos release. The link tree in the description links to all my social media. Check it out if you are interested, and once again, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, good night, wherever you are. May the force be with you, always.